People think I broke the engagement. I didn't. I broke the illusion. My name is Jordan Voss. I'm 32, a reference librarian, in a town most people pass through without noticing. And that night at my sister's engagement party, I stood in a navy blue dress she once called respectable enough for a funeral, holding a champagne glass in one hand and a tiny white box in the other. Miriam, my older sister by 2 years, had just finished her favorite tradition, humiliating me in public. She grabbed the mic, smiled at 100 guests, and said Jordan wanted to be my maid of honor. But come on, that role needs someone photogenic. Laughter, applause, even our mother smirked behind her wine. I didn't flinch. I smiled. Because Miriam didn't know I had something tucked in my purse, something she never planned for. While she raised her glass to true love and dream weddings, I stepped forward, held out the box to her fiancé, and said 6 words that ended everything to love, and to getting what you deserve. The music didn't stop. The silence did. It crawled over the crystal and candlelight, over the last bite of duck à l'orange, over her perfect makeup and his perfect tuxedo. And by the time the projector flickered to life, I was no longer her shadow. I was the one with the light. The ballroom at the Delacroix Hotel shimmered with all the money Miriam never had to earn. Gold uplighting, imported roses, a custom champagne wall. It was a gallery of curated perfection. I stood near the dessert table, the one place no one lingered too long, pretending to admire the chocolate fountain, while scanning the room. I saw her before she saw me, of course I did. Miriam never looked for me, unless she needed an extra pair of hands or a silent audience. She was laughing with Isaac, her fiancé, while the photographer caught every tilt of her head. She wore a backless silk gown that cost more than my monthly rent and a diamond the size of a gumdrop. When she finally spotted me, it wasn't with affection. It was with opportunity. She moved to the center of the room with a glass in one hand and a microphone in the other. Everyone she chirped if I could have your attention just for a moment. The crowd hushed with the ease of people trained to obey wealth and beauty. I just want to thank you all for being here to celebrate this absolutely magical engagement. She beamed. And of course, what would a bride be without her tribe? She turned to where I stood, her eyes bright with venom. Now, tradition says the bride picks her sister as maid of honor, right? A few people chuckled knowingly. Well, this is awkward, she pouted theatrically. I did think about it. Really, I did. But then I realized I need someone photogenic. Someone who doesn't look like she's in the before photo of a makeover show. Laughter exploded. Real cruel laughter. My fingers tightened around my glass, but I didn't drop my smile. I'd practiced it for years. Mom laughed too. Not loudly, but enough. Dad clinked his drink with some guy in a tailored suit. I saw Isaac look at me then, away jaw tight. And so, Miriam continued. I've asked my gorgeous friend Sienna, who honestly looks like she belongs on the cover of Vogue, to be my maid of honor. There were polite claps. Sienna waved from the front. Perfect hair, perfect teeth, perfect timing. I stepped forward then, not rushed, not flustered, just steady. Actually, I said, voice calm but clear, I'd like to propose a toast too. Heads turned, some with curiosity, others with pity. Miriam's eyes narrowed, but she smiled sharp and gleaming. Oh my God, how sweet. Jordan has something to say. Let's all listen. I raised my glass. To love, I said slowly, and to getting exactly what you deserve. Then I handed Isaac the small white box, wrapped simply, tied with silver ribbon. The room didn't go quiet immediately. That took about 4 seconds, long enough for him to open it. Long enough to see the flash drive, and long enough for Miriam to realize this wasn't part of the show. I wasn't always invisible. That took time. When I was 8, I won a district writing contest. My short story was about a girl who learned to talk to trees, and the judges said it was strangely mature. I remember holding the certificate cheeks, flushed, waiting for someone in my family to say they were proud. Miriam asked why the girl didn't talk to boys instead. Dad changed the subject, and Mom reminded me not to act weird at dinner. By 12, I learned not to bring home wins. By 16, I learned not to bring home anything at all. Miriam had a way of walking into every space I carved out and repainting the walls. She joined the clubs I joined, then got elected president. She flirted with the guy who passed me notes in chemistry, then dated him the next day. And when she didn't want what I had, she simply made sure no one else did either. She means well, Mom used to say folding towels. She just doesn't know how to show it. But she did. She showed it every time she smiled at me with that glint in her eyes. The one that said, "You'll never be enough, but I need you close to prove it." I moved out at 22. Small town, small job, small apartment, over a bakery. But for the first time, the silence wasn't oppressive. It was mine. Miriam didn't visit until 2 years later. She showed up unannounced, of course. Red BMW, designer blazer, perfect makeup. She walked into the library like it was a novelty store. "This is adorable," she said, tracing a dusty shelf with her manicured finger. "Still hiding out with books, huh?" She stayed for an hour, loud and glowing and impossible to ignore. By the time she left, my regulars barely made eye contact. It was like the Jordan they knew had been rewritten in just one visit. I told myself I didn't care. Then she started coming back, always just passing through, always louder than me, always reaching into my world like it was hers to borrow. And when she got engaged to Isaac and sent a group text with the ring photo, I knew what was coming. I just didn't know yet how I'd respond. Not until 3 weeks later, when Mom called and said, "Can you help me upload some photos for your sister's engagement slideshow?" It was a Thursday. Gray sky, burnt coffee, the kind of afternoon that feels like it's holding its breath. I showed up at Mom's condo just after 2. She was already knee-deep in photo albums, those bulky leather-bound ones she refused to digitize until now. "I promised Miriam I'd have everything uploaded by tonight," she said, scrolling helplessly on an old laptop that sounded like it was about to lift off. "She wants the slideshow to be emotional but flattering, whatever that means." I didn't ask. I just sat down and started scanning. It was supposed to be simple. Upload the baby pictures, crop out the red eyes, rename the files. I got through 3 albums before the screen pinged. A message popped up in the corner. "Chase, don't forget the champagne. He's working late again." I froze. The cloud account wasn't just Mom's. It was Miriam's. She had set it up, apparently, to make sharing easier, and she'd left it logged in. Another message appeared. "Chase, still can't believe he bought the prenup line. You're a genius." I clicked the message thread. For a moment, I told myself not to. That it wasn't my business. That even Miriam deserved privacy. But Miriam had spent 32 years making every inch of my life her business. So I clicked. And there it was. Hundreds of messages. Flirty, unfiltered, full of plans and secrets. Some from weeks ago, others from last night. Miriam, 2 years. Then I file. That trust fund will float us for life. Chase. You think he suspects Miriam Isaac? Please. He still thinks I'm in love with his stupid eyes. My hands trembled. I scrolled faster. Then I found it a video. Taken in a hotel room. Miriam's face blurry with wine, her laugh loud and careless. Chase off camera. You sure you can pull this off, Miriam? Easy. He's already planning the honeymoon, and once that prenup gets buried, I just play the devoted wife until year 2. Then boom, settlement freedom, and we vanish. She took a sip, then added Jordan's helping with the slideshow. Can you believe that poor thing's just happy to be included? I sat there, the cursor hovering over the download button. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't petty. This was premeditated fraud. And suddenly I wasn't just the sister anymore. I was the witness. I didn't sleep that night. The flash drive sat on my kitchen table like a live wire, humming with the weight of everything it contained. I stared at it through 3 cups of coffee and the slow dissolve of night into morning. Every time I blinked, I saw Miriam's face on that screen, laughing, gloating, dismantling people, like they were props in her private theater. I thought about calling Isaac. Just send him the video. Let him handle it. Quiet, clean. But no part of this was quiet. Miriam had never been quiet. She humiliated me, in public laughed louder, when others joined in and never once looked back. She needed her downfall to be witnessed. That was the only language she ever understood. So I made a plan. The engagement party was coming up fast. Saturday evening. Black tie-plated dinner signature cocktails, the works. Miriam had mentioned she was frustrated with Isaac. He wasn't providing enough photos for the slideshow she wanted. "What's the point of having a fiancé if he won't let me show off?" she had whined during one of her library drop-ins. That gave me an opening. I texted Isaac the next day. "Hey, just wanted to help surprise Miriam. She's been stressing about the slideshow. If you have any good photos or clips, I can pull something together in time for the party." He responded within an hour. "You're a saint. I'll send over a folder tonight. She's lucky to have you." I wanted to laugh. Or scream. Instead, I waited. That evening, I opened the email, dozens of photos and short videos. Vacations, candlelit dinners, lazy Sunday mornings. In the early ones, Isaac looked happy. But in the recent ones, his eyes looked tired, distracted, already starting to drift away from whatever fantasy Miriam had constructed. I built a decoy slideshow, romantic music, soft fades, glowing memories. And then I created another, the real one. I embedded the video in the file, included a few choice screenshots of the messages. I didn't add commentary. I didn't need to. The truth in its rawest form was already louder than anything I could ever say. By Friday night, it was done. All that was left was to choose what to wear. I picked the navy dress Miriam once mocked for looking like something a teacher would wear to a funeral. Perfect. Because this wasn't a celebration anymore. It was an ending. Saturday arrived like thunder behind glass, quiet but heavy. The Delacroix ballroom was even more extravagant than I remembered. Waiters floated by with trays of oysters and champagne. Every table had its own monogrammed menu and centerpiece of white peonies flown in from somewhere too expensive to pronounce. And Miriam was radiant. Her dress clung in all the right places, her hair swept into effortless waves, her laughter bubbling just loud enough to dominate any space. She didn't notice me at first. Why would she? I blended in exactly how she liked, subdued, simple, forgettable, which made it even better when I finally stepped into view. Her eyes flicked toward me and stayed just long enough to register the dress. Then came the smile. The kind people give before a punchline. "Jordan," she sang, "you made it. I almost thought you'd skip it, given how you feel about being around happy people." I smiled back. I wouldn't miss it for the world. And I meant it. The room pulsed with soft jazz and clinking glassware. I stayed near the back, watching, waiting. Isaac moved through the crowd like someone half there. He greeted guests, shook hands, smiled. But he never looked at Miriam for long. I wondered if deep down he already knew. Eventually, Miriam called for attention. She stood beneath the chandelier, a microphone in one hand, her other resting delicately on Isaac's shoulder. To love, she began. To commitment. To finally landing the man of my dreams. Though let's be honest, I had to hunt him down like a truffle pig in Italy. Laughter. She glanced at me, then eyes flashing. And of course to family. Especially my sweet sister Jordan, who worked so hard on the slideshow. And the little details. "Let's give her a hand." People clapped politely. I dipped my head in acknowledgement. Then I stepped forward. "I'd like to add something," I said, taking the second mic from the stand. The applause faded. Miriam's smile twitched. "I brought a gift," I continued, turning to Isaac. "Something for both of you." I handed him the small white box. He opened it slowly, saw the flash drive, and stilled. Miriam leaned in, already annoyed. "What is it?" "A slideshow that's already set up. There's a projector ready," I said calmly, gesturing to the screen near the band. The crowd turned, and for the first time in 32 years, so did Miriam. Not to mock me, but to stop me. Too late. The lights dimmed. The screen flickered. At first it looked like another romantic montage, until the audio kicked in. Miriam's face filled the wall behind her, a little grainy shot in low hotel lighting. She was lounging on a bed, glass of wine, in hand hair undone, laughter, too loud to mistake. From somewhere in the crowd, a woman gasped. "Come on," said the voice off camera chase. "Tell me again how you're going to pull it off." Miriam giggled on screen. Simple, I marry him. 2 years, no prenup. Then I'm out with half his fortune. His daddy's construction firm will fund my next 5 lifetimes. People started murmuring. Someone dropped a champagne glass. The shatter was sharp but not louder than the next words. What about your sister? Chase asked. Miriam snorted. She's so desperate for my approval, she'd help me pick out the divorce dress if I asked nicely. In real time, Miriam let out a strangled noise. Turn it off, she shrieked. She rushed toward the projector, but Isaac caught her wrist gently firmly. No, he said, his voice hollow. I want to see. A new video played. Screenshots. Messages. Her voice again this time, whispering over text. I can't even look at him during dinner anymore without thinking about how dull he is. This marriage is a means to an end. Miriam spun around to face the crowd. This is fake. She edited this, no one moved. No one believed her. Her best friend Sienna backed away slowly, face pale. 2 of Isaac's cousins looked absolutely sick, and his father, the man who'd barely said a word all night, stepped forward with steel in his voice. You signed the prenup, he said flatly. But fraud invalidates it. That document is null. Miriam stared at him like he'd slapped her. Then she turned on me. You did this, she hissed. I just showed them what you were already proud to say, I replied, folding my hands calmly. Another clip rolled Miriam laughing, calling me pathetic, boring a charity case in a library. The sound of her empire cracking wasn't loud. It was the silence afterward that said everything. She looked around and found no one, no allies, no lifelines, no audience. Just me. Still standing, still quiet, but no longer in her shadow. The party ended without music. Guests shuffled toward the exits in stiff silence, their heels clicking like judgment on marble. Miriam stood in the center of it, all alone, trembling mascara streaked down cheeks, once sculpted for perfection. Wait, Sienna, she cried, spotting her maid of honor grabbing her clutch. Don't leave me. Sienna didn't even look back. I have a job, she said coldly, and a reputation. The ballroom doors opened. Miriam's illusion bled out into the hallway. Then came the planner. Clipboard clenched voice brittle. Ms. Voss, the vendors need to speak with you. The florist, the venue, the catering. What? Miriam blinked. The deposit structure, the planner sighed. You signed as the primary contact. The balance is due tonight. That's over $60,000. Yes, ma'am. And without Mr. Alden's backing, the cost is yours alone. Miriam looked around wild-eyed. But Isaac, he signed, he. No, said Isaac, stepping beside his father. I signed nothing. My name was never on those contracts. He dropped the engagement ring on the nearest table. I hope whatever you were chasing was worth it. Then he walked out. Miriam collapsed into a chair, shaking. My parents approached quietly for once, without a script. Mom's eyes were red. Dad looked 30 pounds older. She'll spin this, Mom whispered, not even looking at me. She'll say you tricked her. I didn't, I replied. You know that now. Dad nodded slow. We do. They turned to go. But this time no one followed them, not even her. Miriam stayed seated small in a room built to worship her drowning in the very excess she once weaponized. And I walked out steady, not triumphant, just free. The next morning, I woke to 17 missed calls. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize, reporters maybe. Or distant relatives who suddenly remembered my name. I didn't answer a single one. I made coffee, opened the library, and greeted Mrs. Keller at the front desk like it was any other day. Because for me, it was. The storm had passed. Not with vengeance, not with fire, but with light. People always assumed I stayed quiet because I was weak. They were wrong. I stayed quiet because I was watching, and when the time came, I didn't need to scream. I let the truth do the talking. That navy blue dress still hangs in my closet. I haven't worn it since, but I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. It's not a symbol of revenge. It's a reminder that even shadows can step forward. And when they do, they don't ask for space. They take it,